the baddest city in all time, space, and dimensions. Stockton, California, the Deuce 09. Your host is a prominent member of the Bohemian Club, a prominent member of the Bilderberg Society, a Freemason of even higher than 33 degrees, a master of fractional reserve banking and creating the new world order. Crosley Gracie Brown Belt, Tim Freeman. And also today's special guest, master bodyguard, master stuntman, master actor, master MMA fighter, master at Jiu-Jitsu, Tait Fletcher. You know what time it is. Grab your lighter, grab some gasoline, grab some lighter fluid, set somebody's house on fire, motherfucker, because this is the Inside BJJ Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Freeman. That was a great intro, my friend. Matt Freeman. Dude.
And if you subscribe to the premium podcast for $2 a month, Master Mason Tim Freeman will reveal to you all the secrets of Freemasonry.
And you listen to the Inside BJJ Podcast.
You got to get involved in the Podcast Millionaires Club. No, hey, I want to just let everybody know that we're not brought to you by any sponsors. We're done with the whole sponsorship deal. Unless Atama wants to throw me a bunch of money to say their name on the show, then I'll do it. But not for real, man. I'm so burned out.
No more sponsors. We're not going to ever buy just gi pants. We're going to buy the whole gi. Don't buy just the gi pants. Just buy the whole gi.
Just get the whole gi.
You'll need the jacket too.
You know what? No, for real, man. Our show is brought to you by you. All right? So you're our sponsor, man. The dudes that like the show and the ladies that like the show, you're the sponsors for the show. And we love you. We do the show for you. And if you're sitting at your desk listening right now, you're driving in your car, we get a lot of the commuters listening to the podcast. If you're out on a jog or buying groceries or whatever you're doing, man, we're doing the show for people like you. And if you like us, then all we ask is throw us a review on iTunes. Throw us a review on our app. You can download the Inside BJJ app from the iTunes store. You can get it from Google Play. You can get it for your Windows Mobile. It's all out there. Or if you really like us, you could sign up for a premium subscription. What does that mean? You ask me. Here's what it means. It's $1.99 a month. You get access to the full back catalog, every show we've ever done, every interview. And we've done some big interviews with almost every Gracie you could ever imagine, and even guys that aren't named Gracie, and even women. And some of the women that are named Gracie, we had them on too. But we got a lot of cool jiu-jitsu and MMA guys on the show in the past. And we also have some premium shows where we don't talk about just jiu-jitsu. We talk about fights and mushroom trips and
government, history,
growing up in Stockton, California.
Growing up in Stockton. Speaking of that, I wanted to
WWE
premium shit. I was thinking, what do you think about this? I don't know if I've asked you about this or not, but bringing in like a hardcore history style dude and doing a premium podcast.
No, I don't like that idea. No, that's cool. I like it. Like if you ask something on the air, I have to say yes, basically, right?
That's my trick of making it happen. Asking you on the air.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of stuff we have on the premium show. We've had like bounty hunters on the show. We've had deputy sheriffs and
bounty hunter
racers.
Extraordinaire Frank Gallo. That's your shout out, motherfucker.
Yeah, so we got all kinds of crazy stuff on the premiums that you can hear. It's $1.99 a month, and then you become the sponsor of the show. You get a part of it. You're helping build this Jiu-Jitsu podcast.
You're helping build this kingdom. And you cannot outgive God. You give to this podcast, brothers and sisters, and you're going to see your life blessed in mysterious ways. Glory to God.
Yeah, so, man, help us out. That's all we're saying. If you like it, help us out, and you can go to insidebjj.com/premium. We also got some cool Inside BJJ shirts. They're new ones, and basically they were designed by Edwin Frias, and he's got a really cool setup. If you check out Free Love Creations, it's FRI, lovecreations.com. He designed our shirts, and the way these shirts work, it's $30, and that includes shipping and handling. And then we take $10 from the sale of every shirt, and we're donating it to the local women's and children's shelter in Stockton. try to do some cool stuff for them.
Yeah, man, you're helping out some people, man. There's a lot of people who have been fucked over and fucked up in every possible imaginable way, especially women in Stockton at these shelters with children.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad situation here. So we're trying to do something cool, not just trying to sell a bunch of shirts and make a bunch of money, which is obviously we're not doing. But we want to, give a little something back as much as we can do. So if you could help us out with that, man, we'd really appreciate it.
And also, if you're one of these motherfuckers who's always online, you always buy your shit online, you buy shit on Amazon, use the Amazon click-through link on the Inside BJJ Jizzle Pod Fizzle Mother Fizzle.
Yeah.
And and then Tim over here is a master of fractional reserve banking. Will get a fraction of that, but then he will loan that fraction out. He will take that money, reinvest it into the kingdom, and take over this fucking world.
That's pretty much the plan, but we need you to use the click-through link before we can do that. You're kind of holding me back, and I'm kind of waiting for you guys to kick it into gear. Man, great show lined up, dude. I'm really happy to talk to Tait Fletcher. I can't wait to do that.
The one and only
Tatum Maximus. I love putting the Roman name on things. I train with a guy named Dave Hose, and I call him David Hosisius. I like to just add the Roman name on stuff. Couple things, dude. So yesterday we went to the Rumble in the Redwoods tournament.
Oh yeah,
in Aptos, California. I'm just gonna say this. I had 3 students that I wanted to sign up, and I missed the deadline by like 12 hours, and I called them, and they were like, no, sorry. And I said, really, man? Is there anything I could do? Well, you could call the guy who's running the tournament. His name is Chris Smith. He's a cool dude. And so I called him. He's like, nah, man, it's not fair to the other parents to let people sign up late and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, you know what? You're right. That's cool. We went to the tournament. One thing that did kind of bother me a tiny bit is I was like, hey, I'm a coach. Like, I got some students here that I'm coaching. Do I have to pay, like, spectator admission to get in?
You paying, motherfucker.
And they're like, well, we got a list. Is your name on the list? I'm like, I don't even know about a list. It's a handwritten list.
Oh, you didn't know about the list?
Hey, this is what's funny. When somebody goes, do you know about the list? And then you look at the list, and it's not even printed out. It's just a bunch of handwritten, scribbled names. I'm like, definitely my name is not on that list. I'll tell you right now. The guy's like, that'll be $10.
$10.
$10. So I said,
wait. $10 for a spectator's fee?
Yeah.
Well, how much was the entry fees for the kids?
I don't
the people
know.
competing.
I'm not sure. But I said, cool, man. Like, well, I'm not going to make a thing out of it, dude.
Well,
I'll pay.
you're rich, though. I mean,
yeah,
you could have probably paid a lot more than $10.
I bought everyone's ticket.
You could have if you wanted to.
So I said, cool, man. Can I get a receipt, though? Because, like, this is a business deal at the same time. And they're like, no, the lady was, like, violently angry. No receipts. And I said, can you just write
No receipts?
I know, right?
Why the fuck can't you get some sort of fucking receipt?
So I said, well, can you write it down on the piece of paper right here? Just, like, write it down.
You are a fucking Jew, dude. You're trying to get a $10 receipt so you can write off your motherfucking taxes.
Hey, man.
This shit ain't no joke. This Timmy Freeman is a Jew shit. It's the real deal. It's the real motherfucking deal.
It ain't free to drive to Aptos. That's a long way, dude. And I incur expenses to do that, to coach my students. And I would do it. I only had 2 kids competing, and I'm going anyway. I'm not the kind of guy that's like, I got to have a whole school full of kids or I'm not going. Like, I went, man. A long way. And I packed up the family and took them. And I love doing it. I love these kids. I love watching them compete. I just wanted a receipt, and they wouldn't do it.
How'd your kids do?
Well, I'll tell you what happened. One of the kids, he plays lacrosse and he plays football, and he competes jiu-jitsu too, but he hasn't been training very much, but he still wants to win the gold medal to jiu-jitsu tournaments. And I'm going to kind of have to have a heart-to-heart talk with him and say, look, it's okay to play football and lacrosse and all those things you want to do, man. That's great. I'm totally behind it. But you can't get too upset when you've been doing all that stuff and you haven't been coming to jiu-jitsu, and then you enter a tournament and then you don't win. Because, like, you're going up against kids that are paying the price. They're training every day. They're training as much as they can. They're putting the time in. They're committed to it. And you're playing football, which is cool. If you want to play football, that's okay. But you can't, like, get upset at yourself because you didn't win the tournament. You know what I mean?
I feel you.
It's hard to do. And then my other guy, who's really dedicated, he's always there. He's always in class. He's my top guy, man. His name is Justin Pichelli. I love that kid. He blew out his rib.
Oh,
He got hurt pretty bad.
Dude, I rolled with him once, right? What is he? How old is he?
Little Justin?
Yeah.
He's 14.
He's 14, and he's not a big 14-year-old.
He's a little 14.
He's an athletic 14-year-old. So
Yeah.
I'm rolling with him, and I'm thinking, like, how much English do I want to put on this shit? Rolling with this kid. And I didn't put all my English on it, but I thought, I'm doing him an injustice. If I don't put some English on his ass, what if this guy gets into a real fight with a fucking grown-ass man, and he's training with me, a grown-ass man, and I don't really add some extra English on it, and he thinks that somehow he could take a grown man. Maybe he'll survive the encounter because he had some real English put on his ass.
So you put some English on him?
I put a little bit of English on it, yeah.
Hey, Justin's a tough kid, and he's only getting better, and he's really dedicated to it. And what I love about him, man, is he's an orange belt, and he was in the orange belt division, but they had a green belt in there too, and he was bummed out because he didn't get to go against a green belt. He was like, dude, I want to compete against the green belt. He jacked up his rib, and it was kind of bad, and it was a little bit confusing because there wasn't a lot of help in terms of getting him help, but there was a cool dude, Julian Blanc. What's up, man? He's a real cool dude. Yeah, he's the guy that beat me at the U.S. Open last year in the brown belt division with a toe hold. He's a EMT. I knew he was an EMT.
Pretty weak way to win, toe hold.
Hey, dude,
according to Kurosian.
Look, I tried to toe hold him, and then he toe holded me back. So
I was trying to throw some salt. I was backing up my boy. I was backing up my cousin, trying to throw some salt on the fact that he got a victory over my boy. But
so
well earned, sir.
So he helped Justin out. He checked him out. Justin was in a lot of pain, and he said, "Man, you're probably okay, but you probably should go get an X-ray just to play it safe. You're a kid. You don't want your lungs to get damaged or something else." So yeah, we went to the hospital, and he turned out okay. And I got to talk to Justin while he was on morphine. That was pretty funny.
Oh, wow,
poor guy. But yeah, I hope he'll be back on the mat in no time. But yeah, so that's how that went. It was a little bit of a bummer. There was a couple, dude, I got to say this, man, and I'm getting ready to start calling it out. I'm sick of douchey parent behavior at kid jiu-jitsu tournaments. It is off the charts, man, from parents and coaches. There's one coach in particular, and I'm not going to name names because I'm not at that level yet to do that. But this guy, he's so aggressive.
Basically, this guy could kick your ass, probably.
He can't.
Really
no, I don't think he can.
Well, the name is fucking name. Fuck him.
I'm not trying to put him on blast. I'm just trying to say that if you're a coach and you're listening, man, you got to realize that it's great to be passionate. I'm passionate about these kids. I want them to win. I feel bad when they lose. I'm more excited for their matches than when I compete. You know what I mean? I would rather have me be the loser every time and have the kids be the winner. I really love coaching these kids, and I yell, I raise my voice, and that's all right. They got to hear you. You're into it. But there's one guy in particular, man. He screams. He goes crazy. He yells at the kids in a derogatory way. You know what I mean? He's not just coaching. He's screaming at them, man, jumping on them, yelling at them, getting them down. And it's like, dude, what are you doing, man? Like, what's the purpose of this? Why are you doing this? You got the kids here. Is this about the kids or is this about you? The other guy was his parent, dude. He's got like a rash guard on, super tight rash guard with jeans. And he's got like serious like man boobs going on. Like he should probably have a bra on. He looks like he's about 50.
What do you got against men with man boobs, man?
I don't know.
I'm taking offense to this.
You're mad. He was lactating.
I have man boobs, but you know what? It helps my pec joke.
You don't have man boobs. This guy had man boobs, dude. This guy, his only advice to his kid was screaming louder than anyone can scream in the entire building, "Smash him!" as loud as he could, dude. He was out of his mind. He was crazy. He was crazy, full on crazy. So much that the security guys had to go over there and tell him, like, dude, you got to calm down. Like, you're starting to scare other jiu-jitsu people here. People got to put their behavior in check for their kids. It's a bad example, man. Like, let your kids be warriors. If you don't train, let your coaches coach. You can be happy for your kids and yell a little bit, but think about what you're doing, man. You know what I mean? Matt disagrees.
Yeah. I agree with you because it's the same shit in Little League. Parents getting out of control.
Remember what happened with your daughter with the I don't know if it was your daughter, but in that
it was my daughter.
Yeah.
It was kind of. I kept my mouth shut, but I thought it was kind of fucked up because she went against a girl at a tournament, and it was the Gracie. It was the Gracie Worlds or Gracie Nationals, and the rules were no coaching. You can encourage both kids, but no coaching. Well, this dude was a MMA fighter. Number one, which is why maybe I kept my mouth shut. Number two, his girl, was really well trained, even though my daughter was bigger and older. And it's not my daughter versus your daughter, but he was he was hella coaching.
Yeah.
So not only is my kid going against an MMA fighter's daughter who's getting private lessons every week, on top of that, you're coaching. You stepped over the rail and you're coaching her. So now my daughter's really at a disadvantage. But but the thing that was good about that at the same time is she went through that experience. She rode tough and stuck it out. So, she probably became better because of it.
Yeah, she probably did. But, like I was at Kids Pan Ams last year coaching some kids, and I saw the parents of two opposite kids almost get into a fight. And it was a woman and a man, and the woman was going to hit the man.
I don't doubt it.
And it's like
Jiu-Jitsu is growing. More kids are doing it. And just like Little League, you're going to have the same fucking... The difference is, though, in a Little League game, there's not a lot of motherfuckers there that could beat your fucking ass, maybe.
In a
Jiu-Jitsu tournament, there's probably a lot of motherfuckers there that could beat your ass. They could beat your ass without going to jail. They could hurt you without punching you.
Yeah.
They could rough you up without overdoing it.
I'm just saying, be cool, man. Let the kids have their day. It's not the end of the world. You don't got to go nuts.
It's these motherfuckers that are reliving their life through their children.
A lot of them are. So, yeah, that was our day, dude. We came back, and I've kind of been under the weather, man. My voice is all jacked, and I feel kind of crappy, but whatever. There was a big fight last night.
I came out a loser, dude.
Man.
I
think you have a problem.
No, I don't have a problem, dude.
I think you have an addiction.
No, I don't have a problem. Listen, I only lost, at the end of the night, I lost $70. That's not a problem.
Okay. Maybe we should call Katie and see how she feels about it.
Do not call Mrs. Freeman. Look, man, I can see if I was gambling away money that I didn't have. $70, dude, I'll spend $70 at a bar on a given night,
That's chump change, right?
I wouldn't call it chump change. I mean, $70 is a little bit of money.
Oh, now you don't want anyone to think you're like a wealthy guy. Now you're back.
I'm not a wealthy guy.
You're backtracking.
And maybe $70 hurts a little bit, but it's not. I don't have an addiction.
But you gamble on every MMA event.
Yeah, I do.
You said, yeah, I do.
I mean, I don't gamble more than what I could lose.
Why do you gamble on the event?
I'm hooked on it.
Oh. Now, are you gambling? I don't even want to go.
It makes it. Yeah, don't go into the warehouse. Not important.
Why?
It just makes it so much more exciting.
It does make it
to have
exciting.
some money on the line.
I totally can see that. That's why I don't do it. There's some things like once you step into it, there's no going back. Like it's just boring when you go back.
I don't know, man. I'm an extremist and I'm fucked up in a lot of ways, and I need to make things more exciting than what they already are.
So, dude, tell me about the fights. I didn't get a chance to watch them.
Well, the first fight I lost on was Varner, and Varner had this guy. Varner should have won. Varner even had his back. I don't know. It's easy for me to say. I'm talking shit because I lost money. I'm saying you should have won that fight, but it's the dude he fought. I fucking forgot this guy's name. He wasn't nearly as big as Varner is, but he is now. Yeah. He just came out there to fight. Varner chose to chunk it with him and trade bombs. Varner almost had him. In the first round, I believe it was the first round he had him in a pec choke. I mean, that's my fucking choke right there. If there's one thing I'm really fucking good at, it's the pec choke. I might be a white belt in everything else, but I'm probably a black belt at the pec choke. If I get someone in the pec choke, they're probably done. He couldn't finish it. He was trying to go back up on his body and then sink back down.
It was Varner versus Trujillo.
Yeah, Trujillo. And what I like to do is I'm some fucking expert, But I like to wiggle. I like to wiggle my way into it. I would like to have seen him wiggle a little bit more. And a lot of times, too, when the guy tries to get out, you could sink it in deeper. Anyways, he couldn't finish the pec choke, and then it ended up going further into the fight. And he had his back for a moment, and he didn't keep him down there. They got back up, and he was trying to finish him, and he got knocked out in the process.
What happened with
It was a fucking brawl, though.
Mir and Overeem?
Overeem just beat the living fucking shit out of Mir for 3 rounds, and Mir went for his guillotine, almost maybe almost got it, but didn't, and it just pretty much took an ass beating.
And then
I lost money on that one too.
Jose Aldo and Lamas. How'd Jose Aldo look?
He looked good as usual, He looked like his normal self.
That was a title fight, right?
Yeah, he was in a fight though. He was in a real fight. That guy was tough. That guy was always threatening. He was always attacking. He was definitely Jose. Couldn't fuck around with this guy. He could have lost that fight, but he didn't.
And then the one that I wanted to see that I didn't get to see was Renan Barao and Uriah Faber.
Probably a short stoppage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uriah got fucking cracked for sure. He was hurt. He was going for the low single. Barao was hitting him with the hammer fist. Uriah looked at the ref and he gave him the thumbs up. I'm okay. I'm not hurt. Don't stop it. And they stopped it.
Oh no, that's terrible. Dude, the fighter gives you the thumbs up. You got to let him fight.
It's like, well, you're not improving your position. Well,
it's a title fight.
You can't
though.
always. Yeah, but look, it takes. How long does it take? Just even in jiu-jitsu, how long does it take sometimes to improve your position?
It can take an entire 5 or 6 minutes to improve. Yeah.
10 seconds, you can't exactly improve your position like that. But he wasn't taking a lot of damage at that point. He had taken some fucking damage. He got cracked.
Where do you think Faber goes from here, man? Because he tailed off and he built himself back up.
Well, he's one hell of a businessman because he talked about getting Dillashaw in there to get a shot against Morale, which I thought was,
that was nice.
Promoting your own guys,
yeah.
Putting your own guys in there.
Faber's a very smart dude.
He's an example of what you should do if you're in this fighting game. He's got all of his ducks lined up in the right way.
Yeah, I just wonder where he goes from here, man.
I don't know. It wasn't like, even though I think the fight was stopped prematurely and you can never count out Uriah Faber, but it didn't look like that, it was going to go well for him.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he could have hit a takedown and put dude on his back and, he could have been some trouble, but it looked like he was going to lose the stand-up fight for sure.
Yeah. That's a bum deal, dude.
Yeah, man, Barao's a bad motherfucker.
He's a
dude.
bad dude.
Bad.
And so this
motherfucker.
was to see who gets the belt that Dominic Cruz had to vacate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no one that's going to touch this guy for a while.
And Barao's a good dude. It's too bad with Dominic Cruz.
Where does Jose Aldo go from here? Who does he fight now?
I think I'm supposed to be fighting him in a few weeks.
Does he move up?
I don't know what I think he's going to fight Anderson Silva. I don't know, dude.
He's a big for that weight.
Yeah.
He can move up to 55.
I don't know. Maybe BJ Penn will fight
there's
him.
Pettis, there's BJ, there's Diaz, there's,
Kenny Florian. No, Florian's done.
He already whooped Florian.
Yeah.
Florian's done.
Florian was a good fighter. I liked watching him.
I was thinking, though, I'm looking at Frank Mir, right, and he took a fucking beating. And it makes me always think about some of these fighters that they're at the tail end of their career and they've taken some hard beatings. It's like, how much money did you make? And how much should the UFC be paying everybody more is the real question.
Or have some kind of like I don't know what it is. Maybe after you reach a certain number of fights, you get a pension from them or something, man. That says like
the problem in all these elements of society. The problem is the take. The fighters get this much, and the corporations get this much. And in every union, in every walk of life, the battle is how much does the corporation get, and how much do the people or the employees or the laborers or the fighters get? And it's becoming, I think, more and more evident to a lot of people that the cut that the fighters get and the cut the UFC gets is a huge
disproportionate.
It's now probably $1 billion company. But they're paying. It's $1 billion company, I think. You think it's fair to say they're $1 billion company?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know. They're pretty damn close to $1 billion. I mean, they got a Fox deal. They're worldwide. It couldn't get much bigger. But fighters are not getting paid that much compared to other sports.
Well, they're very secretive about their fighter pay. I mean, they.
Why do you think that is?
They announce the base pay or the normal pay that they have to report to the athletic commission. But then they don't talk about any side deals, any back deals, anything else. And so
why do you think they
want
to keep that secret?
Well, I think the reason why they do it is
they don't want to do
because
it for everybody.
Some guys get a sweet pot and some guys get jacked.
Some guys don't. And they don't want the guys that don't knowing what the guys that do. And it's like, to me,
but that's just like where I work or anybody
works. It's just like
the
where you work.
thing.
But as spectators, we could say, you know what? We demand that anyone that gets in the UFC who's fighting on this stage should get X amount of dollars.
We could say that, but I think most people that are spectating don't really care about the long-term health of the fighters. We just want to see guys get knocked out.
I don't know, man. I think
stand them up. I want to see him bang.
Stand them up. No, I don't know, man. I think morally, I think morally it's not right.
I
don't want to
completely-
bankrupt. I don't want to
dude,
bankrupt the company. I think the company should make a huge profit, but I really truly believe that they should and they can pay a lot more.
I think you're right. Maybe there needs to be like a minimum salary somehow. I don't know.
You know what? And if they don't get this fucking shit right, eventually you're going to see a fucking fighters union, and then you're going to have a nightmare, Dana White.
Yeah, or you're going to see another organization that does get it right. I mean, look, dude, it's all about competition. It's all about things will evolve, and eventually something that's beneficial for everybody will come out.
Do you think it's possible that it's came to a point to where now Dana White has done every positive thing that he's going to do, and at this point maybe it's negative? His role left in MMA is now a negative role.
Honestly, I don't know enough about the fight business and enough about what he really truly does to know. Because he's kind of the face of the organization, but there's a lot of smart people that work for the UFC.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean?
And he's a smart dude, too, and he had the balls to run with this shit, you know? I mean, what he's done has been very successful. It just rubs me the wrong way when I see him blasting Ken Shamrock on Twitter.
I think it's
when I see him. Yeah. I mean, you look at a guy like Ken. Ken's lost a lot. Like, he's down on his luck. Dana White's up on his luck. Do you really, regardless of what Ken may have said about Dana, almost like, shouldn't you be a little bit of a bigger person not to kick this fucking dog that's down?
It's pretty tough. Yeah, it is. I think you're right. And Dana's in a position where obviously they've made some smart business moves that have succeeded. And, he's kind of set in that sense. And then other fighters can go up and down, but he's kind of set. And so he can talk all the smack he wants.
It's like, Randy's a bum now. Tito's a bum. Ken's a bum.
All the guys they built business on.
He said that first. He said no one's done more to hurt the UFC more than Tito. Then he said no one's done more to hurt the UFC than Randy. Now he's backtracking a little bit on that.
Borderline, yeah. He's almost a bum.
He will be a bum pretty soon.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I think that
I respect the guy a lot. Don't get me wrong.
I would love to have him on the podcast. I'm pretty sure he won't talk to us.
He's not. I guarantee he's not listening to this show.
I would love for you to put a bald cap on and be Dana White for Halloween, because I think you could pull it off, dude. You got a good Dana White. But man, let's take a quick break, dude. We're gonna come back with Tait Fletcher. I'm super stoked to hear from him, and it's gonna be a good show, dude. Be right back.
I'd like to welcome y'all, everyone listening to the sound of my voice. I'd like to ask you a question. How much are you receiving, and how much have you been given? Because if you ain't been given, you ain't gonna be receiving. You see, you're wondering why every time you go for your arm bar, they just slip right out. You try to take they backs, and you don't even get your hooks in. They slip right out. And you think that you need to work on your technique. You think you need to work on your training, but that's not what you need to do. What you need to do is give to the Inside BJJ Podcast, because you've been listening to all these shows, but you ain't been giving. I know who you is. I know what you do, and it's time you gave something back. For $2 a month, you could receive more Inside BJJ and increase your submissions and get blessed back in return, because everybody know you cannot outgive the kingdom of God. Amen.
Amen.
All right, heads down, eyes closed. Now you might be thinking, Pastor, I like what you say, but I'm not ready right now to give that $2. Well, I got to say to you right now, if you don't give those $2, you's a motherfucking punk. Give your money, increase your submissions, and you will be blessed. I'd like to thank y'all for listening to Reverend Fremar.
Donations can be made to insidebjj.com/premium. And welcome to the Inside BJJ Podcast. We're joined on the line with a character in the mixed martial arts world. He's an actor, stuntman, CrossFit extraordinaire. He has a super radical mustache beard combination that I'm extremely jealous of because I cannot pull it off. The one and only Tait Fletcher. Thanks for joining us this morning, Tait.
Thanks, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic, man. It's good to get you on. I know I bumped into you at the Gracie Nationals in 2013, and we talked a little bit about getting you on, and we went back and forth a little bit. But I'm real happy to have you on this morning, man. It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
To talk to you.
It happens as it does, right? Takes a little time sometimes.
It does, man. And one of the things I've realized, like with booking people on the podcast, is that you can't take any of it personal because like everyone's schedule's floating and moving and going, and everyone's hustling. And so when it happens, then that's when it was meant to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I was thinking that the other day, even just with like getting a hold of friends, and like a lot of the guys in my life are, super vibrant and vital in their lives, and there's a lot of things going on, and so it's like you may not talk for months, or you may have a phone call in that is like a couple weeks to get back to, but there becomes an understanding that there's like it's not through a lack of desire, but the life gets so big that it's just like, Jesus, there's only so much time, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny that you say that though, because those are the kind of people that you want as friends. Because they're doing stuff, they're active, they're living, they're not the dudes that are sitting on the couch and are available all day long. They usually don't have much to add to life, you know.
And usually those guys, what they do have to add is just bitching about how it's not going well for them, while they're putting nothing into the stream of life, you know.
Yeah,
it's because of Obama. I can't do shit.
Yeah,
right, exactly, or whatever, X, Y, or Z. Yeah, that's the truth, man.
Hey, man, I wanted to talk to you just because I'm a huge fan, and I'm sure you're hearing this a lot, but major fan of Breaking Bad, and I was so happy.
A lot of people are, strangely enough. It's weird.
I was so happy to see you on Breaking Bad. I was like, oh, dude, that's Tait Fletcher. What? That was awesome, man. Can you talk about that experience a little bit?
For sure, man. It was, like at the time, it was another job that I'd gone into, and I don't, it's one of those things too. I think the biggest thing that strikes me about having that job was looking at it and going, I wanted that job years before, right? Like I wanted that's a dope show to be on, you know? And, and like, and I'm hustling as an actor, as a stuntman, and trying to get jobs and trying to promote myself in that way. But, like through this, that, and the other, I just never worked on the show. And then I got asked to be on the previous season where everybody got stabbed in the prison.
Oh, yeah.
And I was going to be one of those guys killing somebody or then getting killed or whatever. And I was on something else. I don't know what. I was on some other show, and I had to say no. And I was like, fuck, man. And I was pissed. And then I got a call, and they said, hey, man, they're looking for people for this job on Breaking Bad, and they're only looking at guys that have never been on the show before. And then that became, like there's a lot of guys that, like, had I ever been on it before, I wouldn't have been on it during that time when it was the most exposure, when it was the last 5 episodes of the whole series ever, like this epic thing. I would have just been another dude on the show back at some point, you know? And so I guess my point being in that, like, even coming into the show and not really understanding the grandness of what it all meant until like even now, like looking at it a year later, like it means something way different to me today than it did a year ago. We were filming about a year ago right now. And, all the things that you think you want in life and all the ways that you're like, I just need this to go right now to get attached to how it goes instead of just doing the work. It's like, you just got to do the work, because the way that I would have formulated that and put it all together would have ended up not being as, like, the universe wouldn't have been as generous and gracious as it has been with me had it gone the way that I thought it should have gone. You know what I mean? And it's like those kinds of, like, taking my ideas out of it. Like, I have this very small view of the world that I see everything through, and it's not the whole story, man. And so when I can just show up and try to be helpful and put myself in those positions, like, that's when the really good stuff happens. When it's me trying to force it into a position and, like, I need it to go like this in order for that to happen, and I have some fucking grand plan, it always ends up cancerous. There's very few times when that's good. And so, like, that's really what I took from that in a big way. But and that's just like, existential bullshit. But like the whole meat of it, of being on it and being present for that, was so lovely. And all the people in it were so gracious and kind, from Michelle McLaren, who was a producer and a director of it, to Brian Cranston. The first day on set, I'd worked on a movie with him like for 2 days, like maybe 8 months before that. And he's like, oh, like, he walks up to me by name, like I'm nobody. And like, he's just like, and he's like, hey, Tait, the beard's longer than it was before, man. Looking great. Glad to have you on. And it's like just that kind of like, I look at all the people in my life that I don't remember their names and how much it fucking means to, like, it's like people like that are just, that teach you about, like, here's what class and respect is like. And like that whole crew was like that, from the catering to the grips to everybody. It was a family that you walked into that had been working together, making this magic for 6 years, 7 years before that. And it was really fantastic, and to hear other people, like to hear the stunt coordinator talk about, like, man, here's Aaron Paul's first day. He was shooting the pilot, and he's thinking of moving back to Indiana because fuck acting. He can't make it work in LA. And he's going to do this one last pilot, and he's supposed to die in the first, few episodes and all this shit. And then the writer's strike happened, and he was going to move back to Indiana and bag acting altogether. And then this happened, and then fucking five seasons later, DreamWorks is making a motion picture with him as the centerpiece. And it's like that's another indicator of that, of like, it's not the way you think it's going to go that it goes when it turns out magical. It's just showing up. So it was crazy. It was beautiful, man. I don't know. I could talk about 1,000 different instances on it that were fantastic.
No, just hearing this shit makes me realize how fucking magical the universe is, and that if you just trust in that fucking magic and do your part, that shit will happen.
Yep. Just do your part. It's like in jiu-jitsu, I think, too. It's like when you tell guys, well, you got to trust the technique, and you've got to believe in it. And what that means is that you hear a lot of guys say, well, I mean, you don't do it anymore so much, but you hear guys that are like, fucking armbar doesn't work in MMA, or whatever. Some genius that just read a jiu-jitsu book 4 weeks ago, who's now an expert, is talking about. Like, you hear a lot of that stuff, and it's like, well, or we could also say that an armbar just doesn't work for you because you suck at armbars right now and you haven't put in the work to get good at armbars. Like, it's not that it doesn't work. And so the whole thing of trusting that technique and believing in it is going, it's not the armbar that's broken. It's me that's broken, and how do I form myself so that I'm in unity with the armbar, so that that's my shit too? And I think that becomes the bigger conversation of, like, going, I need to be accountable to my life, not my life needs to be accountable to me. It's an empowering thing, and it's like you got to take yourself out of the victim role in order to fucking kick that ass at life,
Yeah, I think you're right. There just seems to be such a huge issue with taking ourselves out of the center picture. You know what I mean? Like, it's not all about who I am and what I'm doing. It's about everything and how I fit into that. And it's funny you talk about jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu is one of those things that when you're learning it, if you're trying to force things to happen and you're trying to overthink and nothing, you can't do anything right, man. And then those very few times, and I think you get better at it as you get involved in it more, where you kind of take yourself out of it and you're like, look, I'm just going to go with it. Whatever happens, that's going to happen. And I'm going to just see where it takes me. And you end up doing amazing things. And you're like, oh crap, man. Like, there's some really cool stuff going on that I wasn't even aware of yet. Kind of.
Yeah. When guys talk about the flow, right?
Exactly.
Dude, this is up my alley, because I've been on and off doing jiu-jitsu for like 10 years, but it was always a year stop. So I'm 10 years into this shit, and I'm a fucking white belt, and I'm fucking 39, and it's not till now I'm like, fuck, I'm not going to quit this shit till I fucking at least get to a goddamn fucking blue belt.
Yeah, it's like guys that are like, oh, I've been doing it 10 years means a lot of different things for a lot of different guys. One guy in our system, he just got his black belt from Eddie this last week. this guy, Gio Martinez, and his brother, Boogie Martinez, upcoming MMA fighter. And Boogie's a brown belt, and Gio just got a black belt. And he's been at jiu-jitsu for 3 years and some change.
Wow.
Right? And so, yeah, that 10 years, it means different things for different guys. And really the thing is that, like, Gio was at, a perfect age and the perfect job or lack thereof. He didn't have kids. Like, his responsibilities were such that his responsibility was becoming a kick-ass jiu-jitsu player. Yeah. And so that's what his mind, that's the videos he looks at, like, his life was engulfed by it. And, like, that's how I was when I first started jiu-jitsu. It's like, we didn't even have TV then at that time. They didn't invent that till later. But it was like, you get into it, and you're like you're talking about those first instructionals, or you're talking about, like, that old fucking magazine, Full Contact Fighter, or every 4 months in black belt, they would put a grappling issue out, and you'd be like, oh, awesome. And there's like a 6-step submission for a clock choke or something that you're studying, and you go to a class with 4 guys that are also just brand new in jiu-jitsu, and they're like, God, where'd you learn that choke? What'd you do? And I'm like, got this grappling magazine, right? Or when it's like you're just absorbing stuff from wherever you can, competing like a savage all the time, and it becomes a thing of, do I want to be good at this, or do I want to be a hobbyist? And then if I want to be a hobbyist, it's almost, to me, in a way, like doing cardio kickboxing or something. It's like if I'm not going to be about it, like, if I don't want to be excellent, why am I touching it?
Yeah.
Like, and so really the guy that I say that's 10 years in a white belt is like, when are you gonna really own it? And when are you gonna go to yourself and be like, this is a gift I'm going to give my future self? Because if I'd have paid even just 10% more attention for the last 10 years, I would easily be a brown belt right now. Easily. Like, why did I rob myself of that and give myself this frustration that I have right now at 39 years old?
No, dude,
those
that's
are
true.
Huge questions,
those are good questions.
And there's always reasons. I get it. There's always reasons, but a reason is just another word for an excuse. And when you're living in a life and you're going, I want function and performance in my life, there's either I'm getting this done or I'm not getting this done. The reason doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that I got sick or that I got a flat tire. None of that happened. I either showed or I didn't. And when you get serious about, like, I want to put parameters on my life, and I want to put borders on it to where I'm going to live inside this kind of integrity, fucking great shit can happen.
No, you're totally right. In 39, white belt, 10 years, but there's this light that's gone off in my fucking head where I realize I'm going to do this fucking shit or I'm going to die. Those are my two fucking choices. And this 10-year grind has actually helped me a lot in my regular jobs, where I get the grind and you keep fighting and you keep moving. And as long as you keep fighting and moving, you're going to be making progression.
For sure. It's just that I think, the biggest thing is it's just consistency, right? It's just showing up and then going, regardless, and you pick your days, whatever it is. If it's every day, if it's 3 days a week, if it's once a week, whatever, but you never fucking miss. You stay accountable to whatever it is that you say in that way, and that's when it happens. It's when you go, I'm going to skip school one time. It's like, that's when it turns into months. And then that's when you become a white belt again.
That's when it turns into years, and God damn, I've lived that too many times.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it's not that big a deal. It's not like I'm going to do this or die. I mean, that is some dramatic Kim Kardashian shit. Like, you know what I mean? It's like either I'm having fun and I'm learning, or I'm not. And if I'm not into it, do I need to have a blue belt ever? Or what? You know what I mean? It becomes like that. It's like Greg Jackson told me that once when I was like, look, man, I don't know. I'm fucking 34, and I don't know if I'm gonna, like, all this shit. Like, I had a lot of shit in my head, a lot of reasons. I had all these reasons of why not, or what, like. And it's just some pussy shit that I had in my head. And he said, listen, Katimus, you're either fucking having fun or you're not. If you're not having fun training and shit, then take a break. Stop. Do something that you're liking. And I was like, it's about the fun. It's like I'm either learning and I'm having fun, or what am I doing? Every other reason that came to my head why I was doing it was all ego reasons.
Yeah.
It wasn't about fun, and it wasn't about being helpful to the guy next to me. And when it's not about that, I might as well stay home anyway.
Do you think that sometimes what happens is we develop a certain identity with what we're doing? Like I am a jiu-jitsu guy, or I'm a MMA fighter, or I'm a this, I'm a that. And even though you're not having fun and you're not enjoying what you're doing, you still feel like you're bound to that identity. Like people perceive me as this kind of a guy, and then if I stop, then what are they going to think? And it's totally ego driven, but it holds you back. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, I've had a lot of those things in my life of like, who are you now? Kind of is what I call it. You know, who are you now? Without that girlfriend, who are you now? Without that job, without that money in your pocket, without nobody knows you, you moved to a brand new city and you're completely alone. Who are you now without the people that used to know you? Like all that stuff. And I think for fighters, it is like really in my heart in a huge way, because I see it all over the place, you know, and people talk about, oh, that guy, you know, they talk with such ignorance. It's like either he's got, that dude's got a glass jaw or that dude's got a jaw of steel or whatever, right? And then, and people used to say that like about a good friend of mine he's got a fucking jaw of steel, he's got a head like a cinder block, blah, blah, blah. And then, he's got a glass jaw now. Now he's nobody. And you go from being the guy that's got torpedoes in every limb to a guy that is just like, he's washed. And it's like we talk this way about other humans, about other men that are excelling, that are at the top end of elite athleticism. And then we diminish them after they become heroes. And it's kind of like, it never speaks to that guy. It always speaks to the guy whose fucking mouth that shit is coming out of.
Yeah.
But the thing is about all that stuff is like, we stay too long. Like when I was going, you're either going to fight, you're not fighting for the UFC at this point. And so the road is only really down from there, because there's only these regional shows, and then there's the acquisition and destruction of these regional shows by Dana. And so where do you go? Even though maybe your paydays are better, maybe it's like, in Hawaii they'll pay me $20,000 or whatever, as opposed to 5 and 5 in the UFC or whatever they're offering. You know what I mean? But like you look at things like that, and you go, but this is who I am. When I walk into the grocery store, there's a little kid that goes, that's that guy I saw on TV or whatever. And it's like, it feels good, man. It's like you go from being a jiu-jitsu athlete. I mean, it was the first time I did anything good in my life was being a jiu-jitsu competitor. And it felt awesome. To wear a shirt that was like with all those sponsors on the back that said competitor, you're like, fuck yeah, man. I'm different than, I'm uncommon. I'm doing this thing that's hard and that I'm proud of, you know? And I think the same thing being a fighter, it just amps it up. But then you get a couple losses, you get knocked out a couple times, this, that, and the other thing, and it's like, so who are you now? You got to do something different. What job do you go to now? What's your after plan now? When you've had to live so in the present of having your acumen be at top level all the time and always looking to increase that, and now you're not going to maybe do that. Who are you now? And I think that's a huge thing. And when you talk about, he's a jiu-jitsu guy or he's this or that, you pigeonhole yourself into bondage. You know, now you're in this. You've locked yourself in a room that has jiu-jitsu on the door, or that has fighter on the door, or whatever, and your world is as big as that closet.
Do you think?
And it's like that's fear, right?
For sure.
Sorry, go ahead.
Do you think that's why a lot, and not just with fighters, but it seems like athletes in general have so much trouble knowing when it's time to step away, and then when they step away, man, dudes get involved in drugs and this and that, and you see these tremendous falls. You know, you see guys that were at this such a high peak and they have a lot of money or whatever, and then 10 years later they're in a terrible place. Is it because they can't answer that question, who am I now, unless they have all the trappings of what they were used to in terms of like, the fame and the attention and being able to do what they did?
That's a big part of it. I think even like it's also because the society that surrounds that, it heralds the gladiator. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Being a part of the warrior class is a huge thing, and it's a separate thing than the guy that's a spectator. And it just is. And you're looking, I mean, there's dudes that are like, take a picture with my wife. Go ahead and go upstairs with her if you want. I mean, there's fucking crazy people that are out there that surround that are like, oh, my daughter loves you. Like, it's to the point where it's super creepy, super unhealthy. But, like, you got people that are supporting you in a way like that, buying you booze, fucking here's an 8-ball, fucking, like, whatever, that are just dudes that just want to be close to greatness, right? And because they've seen you on TV, they're delusionally saying that this means greatness. And if you start thinking that you're so much different because you're on TV, you're suffering from that same delusion. And when that stuff starts happening and you do that for 2 years, 3 years, it doesn't take long to where you expect that. And you go from that kind of a height to being a guy that's, you know, I don't know, like everybody goes, they want to start a gym, and then that fails because athletes are not business people. But, like, you know, you go from that to whatever other job you're doing. There's nothing that's like that. It's like being a high-level rock star, except you're broke all the time. Like, you don't have any money, but you got porn stars and cheerleaders and fucking whoever else, people buying you dinner, and, like, you're living a life that is just, like, beyond what you ever thought possible, and then there's nothing. And then, so you go from being the one guy to being the guy that they're saying, oh, he's washed up now. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's a huge thing. And so, like I said, if your ego's so messed up to begin with that you're already buying into all that shit, well, it doesn't get better when there's less money and there's less attention and all that stuff. So, yeah, that's a huge, you know, there's a couple of reasons for that. Another reason guys stay too long, though, is because we love what we're doing. Like, I look at it, dude, I go down to Jackson's and I sit and I watch, and I'm like, I take friends to go watch sparring or something. No, it's not healthy to go and spar. Yeah. It's just not. You know what I mean? And to do that for no reason, like I would do it when Keith or Rashad are getting ready for a fight. There's not a lot of big dudes to move around with. And there's just, like, I love my team and that fellowship. And so I'm doing that for those reasons. But it's not smart. And it's not, there's no, at any rate, it's not, you know, and so you're sticking around because you love it. And I go and I sit there then, and I go and some friends want to go and watch these guys, you know, work out, move around, and I start to get a hunger for it. Yeah. And I want to do that too. And I know that's 100% the wrong thing for me to do. Like, it's not healthy for me brain wise, or anything. I'm not that guy anymore, you know. And so when I look at it through that kind of a prism, it's like there is that love for it, but it's like I'm not turning to drugs or booze or anything. It's like, man, I go full on into this other life. I've got these other interests, and it's like a lot of the dudes that are out. It's like it's kind of like that old thing, you know, when people go, well, if you're bored a lot, you're probably boring.
Yeah.
You know, and how do you not be bored? You be interested in a lot of different things. And how do you be interesting and vital in your life? You get interested and you get good at a lot of other things. Like, it's just the laws of the universe. It's physics. It's just how it works. And so I just try not to be monodimensional in that way. And I go, well, here's the next thing that I want to be really good at. I still want to do jiu-jitsu. I can do that without any damage to my life. You know, awesome. I'm going to do that. It also makes me vital because, like, there's dudes, like, I have to go into a room now. I'm not just, like, I don't know, it's for years. Like, I walk into almost any room. It would be uncommon for there to be guys that are going to be able to get me in that room. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not happening. But now, like, I don't know, that hasn't happened either in a while, but you look at that, there's dudes, that Gio dude, he might smash me. You know, I've never rolled with him, but, like, that's a top-level competitor. And I'm not. And so coming to, like, go, I'm not this guy anymore, and going, are you here to learn, or are you here because you need to be the best guy in the room, asshole? You know, and I go, oh, okay, I'm just here to learn and have fun. And what does tapping or not tapping mean? It doesn't mean anything. None of it means anything.
Did you?
It's like I'm either having fun and I'm part of a fellowship and a brotherhood, or I'm not. So, you know, I guess I learned how do I stay in it in different ways? You know, how do I learn to stay in it, like, engaged in that feeling of, like, of that adrenaline and of that camaraderie and of all the things that I think that were good for me fighting, and stay powerful in the conversation. Like, how do I do all that stuff? And I think, you know, you just find other ways to do it, the more your interests are varied, you know?
Did you have a hard time making that transition personally? Like, you go from, you're on the Ultimate Fighter and you were fighting in the UFC, and it was at a time when the Ultimate Fighter and the UFC were really on the way up in terms of popularity.
Yeah,
it was like catching lightning in a bottle in a way, just being part of it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it was all unreal, you know? It was crazy. It was beautiful. I mean, you're a guy that's kind of like there's a few of us that were the pathfinders kind of for MMA in the Southwest anyway. I mean, there was like 4 or 5 of us, at that time it was like me and Diego and Carlos and Keith and like Floyd Sword and Joey Villaseñor. It's like there's just a handful of dudes that are out there, and then that built from there, and really thanks to Greg Jackson, years of but he and Mr. Winklejohn, Mike Winklejohn, one of the best kickboxers in the world, for those guys to go and just put in endless unpaid hours with a bunch of dudes that had a dream. And they believed, and then you look where that is now. But none of what is there now was present 8 years ago, 10 years ago. Like there was none of us that were going to be in the UFC. There was none of us that were going to be able to fight in Pride. That was ridiculous. Yeah. There's all these regional shows and stuff and whatever, and it's like fuck, all that happened, and we just kept working hard until it happened. And so Was it hard? It was, yeah, for me it was like there's a lot of introspection, man, and it is hard. Fuck yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard. Life's hard. Get a helmet. Whatever. Once you accept that it's hard, you can go out from there strongly. If you're thinking it's going to be easy, I mean, I live on a goddamn planet that on any day can vary from negative 40 degrees to 180 or 105 degrees on any day, depending where I am globally. And I'm so egocentric that I expect to be comfortable in my life. You know what I mean? It's like I'm just made of skin over here. Like I don't know anything. And the thing is yeah, there's going to be discomfort. But that is what forms us. That's what gives us character. I mean, if you're out there keeping your kid from falling down and skinning his knees because you never want to see him skin his knees because you love him so much, you're crippling him. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to skin your knees, man. And that experience is definitely like that. You got raw skin for a long time, in not a physical way, but in a psychic way. It's tough. But I'm always a real big like I said, man. I'm inches from needing to wear Velcro shoes because I'm almost too dumb to tie them myself. But like I've got beautiful people around me that are my pillars, man. I've got this picket fence around me that lifts me up when I don't feel like I can, and that I can bounce things off of and go, am I looking at this the right way? And all that stuff, man. And due to those conversations and being able to bear myself and feel safe in that and going, here's my weakness exposed. How do you think I should, move in the next little bit? Because I don't even know where to put my feet. And like when you get like that, fuck, life is like that, and it's raw, and none of us have a playbook how to do it. Like, we need each other, and we need the people around us that are willing to try, that aren't willing to shy away from these truths, these things that happened. And as men, to the extent that we shy away from the question of who are you now, it's to the extent that you have zero to offer the world, because you've never suffered through anything. Yeah. You don't have anything to offer at all except cowardice. And I never wanted that. I always wanted to be an uncommon man. That was the one thing since I was a little boy. I would see these common-ass hypocrites walking around with their common-ass jobs, and I was like, man, I don't fucking want that. It's kind of, I've wanted to have a different conversation with life, and I didn't know what it would look like. And I'm so grateful that I've had the people in my life that have helped me to have the experience that I've had recently.
Yeah, it's a very honest approach.
It's not me. I've been very fortunate.
For sure. I wanted to get your opinion on because I think it ties in a very I don't know, I wouldn't call it spiritual way, but just in a way with Eddie Bravo. He had this huge match 10 years ago against Royler Gracie, and literally tapping Royler Gracie propelled himself into this whole limelight of the jiu-jitsu world, and he's kind of been a lightning rod of controversy, not really because he wanted to be, just because the jiu-jitsu community is like, they either love Eddie or they hate Eddie, it seems like. And I've been observing this over the last few years, and a lot of people have wanted to see him fight Royler Gracie again, and for various reasons, either one of those guys could have said, no, not interested. They're both not super active competitors in the terms of like the current competition scene and all that stuff. But they're both decided like, hey, Metamorphs 3 is going to go down. A lot of people want to see this. Obviously, they're not doing it for free, which they shouldn't have to. But they're both willing to put it back out there on the line again and to see what happens. And it's an interesting thing because Eddie took that one match that he won, and obviously he had put in a lot of work up to that time. It wasn't like he just showed up at Abu Dhabi and was like, hey, man, taps Hoyler, and he hasn't been training jiu-jitsu. But, he's built a whole system of schools, and he's a pretty big name in the jiu-jitsu world, but he's willing to take all that and set it aside and go up again and fight Hoyler Gracie. What's your thought on that, man? How do you think that ties into what we're talking about?
What's your thought on that?
Well, you know what? I'll tell you. I think that from talking to Eddie, we had Eddie on last week, and
oh, good.
The feeling I get is that Eddie's a pretty humble dude, and I've talked to a lot of guys in the jiu-jitsu world, and a lot of them are different when you're recording versus when you're not recording. Eddie always is the same dude. Like, he just says the same things. He'll tell you the same things. And one of the things he said that kind of struck me was he said, I don't know how I'm going to do when I step on that stage to fight. He's like, I might do great. I might freeze up. I don't know, but I'm going to do it. And I like that approach. It was very open and honest and like, hey, this is a stage that's being set, and there's an event that's happening, and I have a role, and I'm going to play my part, and I'm going to be there and let it unfold as it unfolds. And
here's the thing. Here's the thing that Eddie is Eddie is 110% attached to the truth. He doesn't have any kind of outrageous sense of himself, nor really of others. Eddie goes to promote those around him more than he never does real self-promotion. And Eddie is one of my, not just my jiu-jitsu coach, but he's one of my best teachers in my life and a fantastic friend. And that's just real. That's just real of who he is in the world and what his stand is and what he stands for. The thing about this thing with we hear all this shit with it's always, I always say that fans are the number one ugliest and worst part of mixed martial arts and of combat sports, because a lot of those guys are super duper big fat titty tough guys that have never put anything on the goddamn line ever in their lives, and they shrink with cowardice from the thing of who are you now, or who would I really be if I went out and I slapped hands with somebody across the mat, and there was people that were my family and my friends and loved ones and people that hated me and couldn't wait to see me fail, and everybody watching me while I'm sitting there in my underwear, and I might get dominated in the most primal way by another man. And then I'm going to do it again if I happen to win in 20 minutes from now with another guy, and it all might happen again. And to do that hundreds of times in your life, if you are a fucking spectator that has a mouthful of anything to say about athletes, go fucking kill yourself, because you don't have any fucking idea about life. And maybe I'll send you a T-shirt that just says, I am completely missing the point. That's what I have to say about that. Because the thing is about Eddie, like all the haters out there that are going, that are the do-nothings of this world, that is just, my heart feels for them, because they just have no idea. And if they had a little inkling of an idea and could attach to their own greatness, God, what a beautiful revolution that would be. And so to you out there that are listening in that way, I feel sorry for your own cowardice and fear, and I hope one day you can get past it and go, I've got an expiration date in this life, and I'm going to get the most out of it that I can now and try to help and affect change in the most people that I can. That is my hope for you. That is my prayer. But as far as Eddie going and pushing on and taking this match, he tried to do it at the last Metamors too, and it didn't work out, and thank goodness it's working out now. I think it's fantastic for the whole jiu-jitsu community, and I think it's fantastic for the schism that maybe it got created, that both these men are coming together to allow this to happen again. The people that go and say, Eddie built his whole career, like I was there for this, man. The people that say Eddie built his career on Hoyler's name. Really? Because that's when you as a hobbyist heard the name Eddie Bravo, maybe. For those of us, I was in that world, man. And so for those of us that were competing at that time, that didn't have mouths full of shit, but instead had a heart full of fucking air and went out and competed and knew those people, Eddie was on fire on the competition circuit, and he went through and he earned his spot to get on Abu Dhabi, to compete at Abu Dhabi. That is not an easy feat. That is all the best grapplers in the world that are going to do that. So that's the first thing. Just because you didn't know it happened and you're like, he made his name by this, it's like, for sure, that was a great accomplishment. That was a guy that I don't think any points had been scored on him in Abu Dhabi, let alone he'd been finished before then.
Right.
Like, Royler was the best pinnacle athlete ever in the world at that time. Like, he was it. He was the best. And so when I look at it through, so that's and I'm sorry for being so passionate for
no, man,
taking up
great.
time.
No, we love it. We love it.
But the background has to be set up. Like, those are the facts of what the era was like at that time. And so then Eddie went and he did what, not just beating him, but to be able to catch a submission and finish a man of that caliber. I mean, it was unheard of. And it was a beautiful thing. And then people go, well, it was a lucky triangle or whatever. It's like, I don't know that I've ever seen anybody catch a lucky submission. Like, that seems crazy. There's lucky punches. Like, I mean, a coconut can fall out of the sky and catch a lucky punch and knock you out. But to get a highly technical move on the best grappler in the world and call that luck, that seems crazy to me. It only speaks to your own ignorance that that's your argument, right?
Yeah.
And so, so that happened. All we have is the fact that it happened. Did it mean Royler sucked? God, no. Did it mean Eddie was the best? God, no. It means that he caught a submission on that day, and he won. That's all it meant. And then he built a school on it. And that's the other thing that people say is, he came up and he pinned it up his whole life based on this one win and all that. And then he made up his names and, God damn it, the Twisters of wrestling guillotine. And it's like, okay, like, but we named stuff. Mark Lehman named stuff also, Oda Cobra Kai. It's like we had names for moves so that other competitive schools wouldn't know exactly what we were doing when we're talking to them both in the same language. So we set up a whole system. But that's what I thought it was for at the time. But Eddie's a genius, man. And what Eddie was doing was creating a pathway so we could go A, B, C, D, checkmate. And if you miss C, you're not getting the checkmate. And so he had names, and he really made jiu-jitsu like chain wrestling, to where it was like chain jiu-jitsu. It was like Greco-Roman on the ground. Squeezes, control, keeping control. This move is 100% holding the guy, going to this move, which is 100% holding the guy, going to this move, which finishes the guy. And I mean, it's beautiful. I've never seen another system like that. I believe it's the best system in the world for teaching a guy about jiu-jitsu, for no-gi jiu-jitsu, and even for gi jiu-jitsu, it translates greatly. And I know that's a mouthful, and people are probably sick of hearing me talk, but it's just, all that stuff about people's opinions about Eddie Bravo and about this and that and whatever. If you got anything to say that's negative, like, I give you that, whatever, but you're wrong, because you're talking about a tremendously talented guy, a tremendously gracious and giving guy that is one of the kindest people that you'll ever meet in your life. And just to say that is just like, you're a mean person, and then you can't sleep on that talent, man. I mean, the fucking dude has got snaps like all over the place in ways that you're like, I've never thought of that. Like, I think he's doing one thing and he's doing something completely different, and it's for a whole other purpose. And I'm just super proud and privileged, and maybe, like, if I sound like I'm gushing or whatever, like Eddie's a great friend. He's a great teacher to me. I'm proud to know him, and it's a privilege that I've run into him in my life, and we've been able to have the relationship we've had. And it's nothing that I would say. None of that stuff is anything I would say about anybody that didn't really merit that 100,000%. And that's it.
How big of an X factor do you think having working with Jean Jacques going to be in this match coming up?
I talked to Eddie yesterday or the day before, and he's like, Jean Jacques is his number one training partner. That's his master, and that's the guy that is putting in work with him, and sharpening different tools for him right now. And I believe it'll be huge, not only confidence and love. I mean, that's the thing is, like, we're a family, man. Like playing jiu-jitsu and all the boys at the Death Squad and that whole group, all my guys in Santa Fe and in Albuquerque, it's like we're a huge family, and even people listening that don't know, man, you're family too. And it's like when you really are looking at the world in a way where there's love and there's appreciation for everybody that exists in it, and that everybody's family. Like I think having Jean-Jacques and having that, like, that's a pillar for Eddie. And having that strength and confidence right there, it's like when he's tired training, when he's like, it means something to have a coach of that caliber there. And what a beautiful thing, I think it's fantastic. And of course it'll make a difference. It'll all make a difference.
Yeah, I think I think that is going to be the X factor, because you got an amazing guy like that, and it's one match that you're working on, not more than one. It's one guy,
one match, and the guy, all of it. Yeah, man. That's the thing too. Is I think I don't know that there's an X factor per se. Like, one man is not like, ooh, this made all the difference. It's like everybody made all the difference. If all the things in my life hadn't lined up, and all the left, right turns that didn't happen, and all the ones that happened, and the guy that I ran into this morning and said hello to, and all of that stuff, like, I can't say that any one bit of it didn't matter. It all matters. It all matters, right? And so, like, that being the thing, I think Eddie, when I told you about being 39 in a white belt, it's like the difference between you and Eddie is that Eddie's been consistent. So for the last 10 years or whatever, like, I don't know what Hoyler's been doing. He might be training like a goddamn savage every day of his life, always. I don't know. But I know that Eddie has been. And Eddie's been getting stronger and better, and that he's a different athlete. And, I mean, I don't know. Like, you can't make up, like, if you think, oh, last year I heard I'm going to have this competitive match against this guy, and I'm going to start training hard now. It's like that training never really stopped for Eddie, because Eddie was developing a system, and Eddie has all of us out here in the world that are in little laboratories that are trying stuff on different guys and all that. And so Eddie wants to know about all that stuff, and Eddie he's the king, man. He is the maestro in all that, and so he's proud of that, and he also isn't going to take it lightly, and he respects it all enough that he's out there trying it and getting it exact and getting it right for all these years. He's been the most hardworking instructor that I've ever seen in jiu-jitsu ever. I see a lot of guys that are instructors. You become an instructor, you got to worry about your students. You got to worry, and to be able to do that and be a savage athlete as well, man, that's uncommon. But that's who Eddie Bravo is. I don't know that I could do that. I wasn't that guy, but Eddie Bravo is that guy. So I think that anybody that's like, oh, it was a fluke, like, I predict, man, and I don't know, I said this on my Facebook, but, like, I predict that it could be Eddie Bravo's submission in under 6 minutes. Like, he's that strong. Fuck, man, I'm excited for it. I'm excited. I don't know what's going to happen. I know that jiu-jitsu wins, and that I'm really proud to be alive in this time when I can see something, when I can see some greatness like that, because it's going to be great. It is what it is. It's going to be a beautiful thing.
How big do you think this sport could be?
And I think that it could be, I think it could be huge, but, the thing is like, when people are like, oh, put it in high school or put it in, do this or that or whatever, it's like, that's one thing that, could happen for sure, but the other thing is that the beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu is it's like people that want it. It's people that 100% want it. When you get people that are hungry that want it, that's what makes it grow, and that's what makes it great. And, like, so just giving it to people kind of disrespect it and all that. It's like jiu-jitsu you have to work for. And that's what makes it great, is because there's a work ethic that gets taught. Like, I got disciplined because of jiu-jitsu. It wasn't like I walked in disciplined. I was a junkie and a drunk. And jiu-jitsu disciplined me. Jiu-jitsu opened my life. Like, that's what so, like, when I'm like, if you don't do jiu-jitsu and you don't respect jiu-jitsu to do jiu-jitsu, I'm like, then fuck you. That's kind of how I feel like, then jiu-jitsu's not for you. Like, and that's fine, but let's not pretend, because I know the power that jiu-jitsu has. It has the power to fucking change your life. And Eddie told a couple of my coaches once, I have a CrossFit gym too, man, and Eddie was out in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and he goes, he's saying to him, there are a couple of girls, and one girl I used to date, you know, and she's dope. Her name is Heather, and he goes, Heather, what do you like? And he's like, why don't you guys do jiu-jitsu? And I don't know, whatever. And he goes, wouldn't you like to be able to choke Tait? Finish him, to choke him? And Heather lit up. She's like, yes. And he's like, what if I said that you could do that? If you could fucking press a button and you could do that. And he goes, would you press the button? And she goes, absolutely. He says, well, the button is right there. And it just takes 6 months or a year to press it. Like that's the thing, is like, in that way, time's not really real, right? It's like, that button, you can flip that switch. It takes 6 months to flip the switch before jiu-jitsu's fun and it's part of your life. But you have to do it every day or most of the days of your week for 6 months or something. Because at that point, you're not the bitch that is the fish that everybody finishes all the time. You don't understand it. At that point, you start to understand the system. And then you get to maybe get a tap or two. Like, I remember the first time I got to tap somebody. Holy fuck. I remember the guy I used to battle with all the time. This guy, Chris Torres. And we would fucking battle, dude. And we'd have epic, long battles. And neither of us were in very good shape. So those epic battles were sometimes 7 minutes before somebody would get too tired to continue, right? But when you get too tired, you'd feel the other guy, you were so close, you could feel him break. And then you'd finish him. And I remember he took like 2 weeks off, bro. And then fucking he came back, and I smashed him every fucking time.
Wow.
And he could never touch me ever again. Not ever again. And at that point, I go, that's what consistency does. You know, and so he's a guy that's also been at it for 15 years now, and is, I think, a blue belt or a purple belt or something. Maybe a blue belt. Like, and that's the difference. Is like he allowed himself the generosity and the kindness to go, you deserve a couple days off. And I was rigid with myself, and I was like, there are no fucking days off. There's this life right now. Do you want to have this life or don't you?
Yeah. Man, it's people hear that sometimes and they say like, you know, he's an extremist, but it really is the reality. If you want something and you really want it and you're willing to be committed to it, that's the commitment you have to make. And I mean, I've talked about this on the show before. I was a dude that started jiu-jitsu, totally unathletic, like overweight, just completely out of my element, and I was getting smashed by dudes forever. And I remember dudes, one guy in particular, joined the first day I did, murdered me. He trained for about 6 months. He disappeared. He came back a year later, and I was consistent, and I thought, man, I'm going to get him now. He murdered me again, right? And I'm like, dude, I've been training for a year. This guy's been gone. He came back. He beat me again. Guy disappears 6 months later. I mean, the same story. Eventually, though, the guy comes back, and he's nowhere near. You know what I mean? It's like he's not even in the picture.
Like, I'm like you. Like, not super talented, not super anything, right? And I'm just a guy that showed up and wouldn't stop. Now, I also have had the benefit of seeing a lot of guys come and go. The guys that are super talented, that are really good, like those phenom type dudes, like the dude you're describing,
yeah,
they disrespect it too, because they go, oh, this is easy for me. He does all this work and I can still get him.
Yeah.
And it's about getting him. It's not about getting better. It's about, did I get that one singular human? That is fucking stupid. The guys that are super talented like that, that's a retarded guy that's all ego-based.
It
right?
is. No, you're totally right.
So that guy, no matter if he beat you that day, that guy is 100% not winning today. He's not winning in life. It's like, that's a broken mind. And I only have that to the benefit of over a decade of seeing guys like that. But, you know, it's like that thing, just because there's a goalie doesn't mean you can't score. It's like there's going to be dudes, and there's going to be dudes that are always better than you. And so what? Does it matter? Am I getting, like, that's why I love going and, like, we're going to fly to Florida. We're going to go to Pan Am's. It's like I get to see guys from all over the world, and I get to fucking slap skin with them and see if I'm better than them or not. And that's not just guys in my school or in my area. Those are dudes from all over the world. And then I'm standing on a podium with those guys because I'm one of the top 3 best guys in the fucking world. And that's fucking rad.
Yeah,
you don't know that until you go and try and compete. And if you're the guy that comes in and kicks the shit out of a white belt every now and then in your hometown, congratulations, asshole. Have fun bouncing forever at the door at the local nightclub. Like, whatever. You know what I mean? There's nothing special about that. You're not inspiring anybody. You're a selfish douche all by yourself that's scared you're hanging on to some title between you and another white belt. Awesome. I hope that really gets you somewhere. The thing he said that matters is commitment. And when I look at commitment, that's the thing. That's all it is. And maybe it sounds like I'm an extremist in jiu-jitsu or in whatever it is, but like it's like your relationship or like whatever. And I used to read definitions of like from some stupid girl or whatever that writes, "Get yourself a committed man, ladies," or whatever. And I'm like, oh, fuck that fucking tired cunt. She doesn't even know what she means, and she's killing me. But the fact is that's what I'm the idiot. I'm the dumb one. Why am I taking my definition from her? Because I can show you exactly how to hit a double leg perfectly. I can show you all the movement. I can show you all the technique. I can show you the posture. But what I cannot show you is the level of commitment that you need to that shot. You have to be committed and you have to drive through it and finish it. And that's all up to you. And is that not the same truth as with the relationship with your girlfriend or your job or learning how to do fucking yoga or anything? Because you need 100% commitment. And that, my friend, is freedom. Commitment always seemed like a chain to me or like a prison you sat in. And it's the opposite. Commitment is the thing that makes you free.
That's good stuff, man. I'm inspired right now, dude. I'm pumped up. Hey, I wanted to ask you real quick, man, and I don't want to take up all your time on Sunday morning, but recently you mentioned CrossFit, and I like CrossFit. We have a little CrossFit gym downstairs from the Jiu-Jitsu school, and there's a brown belt who runs it, and I jump in there as much as I can. And recently there was this CrossFit athlete, Kevin Ogre, that had a pretty bad. Yeah. So can you talk? Because there's a lot of CrossFit hate. I mean, it's so crazy. It's crazy how much.
The biggest hater of CrossFit maybe in the world. Maybe not the biggest, but the biggest one that I love, because the rest of them I just kind of don't listen because I'm like, oh, you're just dumb guys. Okay.
Yeah.
But I love Scotty Epstein, and and I don't know if you know Scotty or not, but he's a special kind of human, and he has a certain way of looking at life that maybe has a frown on it a lot of the time and a scowl, and he's one of the most beautiful, loyal, and kind dudes I know, for real. But he's he feels like fuck CrossFit and go get hurt, stupid, and better, and all this shit, right? And like in life, you skin your knees. Now Scotty says all this. He's never done one CrossFit class ever, not ever. He doesn't really understand metabolic pathways. Like if you talked about a glycolytic response or versus but he's a fitness expert about the kind of fitness that he knows. But the mind is closed to these other things. I don't need to know jump in the front of a truck is bad for you to know that it's bad for you, Tate, or whatever. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, maybe you try. Like the thing with me with nutrition, like a lot of people come to me as like a nutrition expert. I'm certainly fucking not. I'm a guy that's tried a lot of different things to see how to make my body perform and function in the best way possible. And so I try those things with 100% commitment for a few months, and then I have an experience. And now I have actual experience from which to speak of, not just knowledge that I've read, but experience. And then I don't have palaver anymore. I don't have just a mouthful of shit that I'm talking about what I think it might be. I have an experience, and that's the only powerful thing that we have. And so, if you don't have experience with something and you want to talk about how horrific, how great it is, I kind of look at you a certain kind of way to begin with. That being said, I was at that tournament when Kevin Ogre hurt himself. A horrible, horrible accident. It looked like a horrible freak accident. And it's like all those things lined up in completely the right way, the way the bar fell, the angle of it, and he hurt himself badly. I don't know if you've read any of his posts lately, but what an inspiring and driven and connected human to the rest of the universe and to his own health and to his own accountability for it. Beautiful. To say the word CrossFit is bad, it's kind of like saying that, like, anything is bad. It's like, it's a word. It's like if you say, oh, that guy, like Lloyd Irvin's guy, he raped a girl. Jiu-Jitsu's bad. It's like being that stupid. It's like saying saying that, to talk about somebody that got rhabdo is like, it's like shit happens. Life happens, man. And we learn, and we're all accountable for it. And the people that don't like it are generally people that fail to be responsible or accountable in their own lives, and they're looking for somebody to blame. Nobody is to blame. Like we all, I'm right now, I've been sick for 3 weeks. I'm a completely deconditioned athlete, right? Which means I have the mental capacity of knowing I can do a certain amount of work, and then I don't have the physical acumen to be there yet. It's going to take me a few weeks to get back to where I was.
Yeah.
If I go and I work as hard as my mental thing tells me, I'm probably going to hurt myself because my body's not ready for it right now. So it's like I'm owning my own health. It's like we all do that to some degree. Not to say that Kevin was sick or this or that. Fuck, man. Shit happens. Like, people die when they skydive, too. Nobody says, oh, that's skydiving. It's, you know, and so to talk about something that doesn't, like Adam Carolla, I think, said something like, if you're burning calories thinking about something that doesn't make you better or make you money, you're fucking stupid. You're wasting your fucking time.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, and that's why all those people on MMA boards or on whatever, it's like, you're not really learning anything. You're talking about why something isn't. It's like, what are you? Because I'm a boss. What they do doesn't matter to me. It's what I'm doing with my feet, right? And so I try not to focus on all that stuff too much. I wish Kevin and his family well. Donate some money to him. You can go to the Kevin Ogre Fund. It's OGAR. And why don't you find out from the man himself? I mean, you can look at Kevin. He's not blaming anybody because that dude's a fucking boss, you know? And there's nobody to blame, man. It's like you're gonna be a little kid blaming fucking life. Right. We're in this life, man. Either take yourself out of it or fucking grab onto it. But like to just sit and bitch, it's like you're doing nothing, you know?
Wasted
so
energy.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing about CrossFit is like, oh, do you think that it's maybe bad that literally hundreds of thousands of people aren't going to die of diabetes now, have changed their life and become empowered and feel like they're valued and worth something? And then a couple of people got hurt here and there. What do you think about that CrossFit? It's pretty bad, huh? I'm like, bitch, no. I'm kind of more into the hundreds of thousands of empowered souls that are in the world, you fucking douche. Enjoy your next welfare check. I mean, what the fuck?
It's like there's a lot of motherfuckers that can't wait for something to go bad so they can say, see, you talk all that, whatever it is, but as if it's CrossFit,
yeah.
It's like, oh, you talk about how great CrossFit is. Look, that motherfucker died. That shit's bullshit.
And to the same degree, that same guy is probably smoking a cigarette, or he's driving drunk home, or he's fucking teaching his kids that, you know, fuck those goddamn Mexicans or black people or whatever the fuck he's like. For sure, that guy's mind is broken. And God bless him. I hope he gets better.
Tait, man, it was a pleasure talking to you. And I want to let our
listeners. You too, man.
I want to remind our listeners that Tait's got some coffee that he's working on, man. He's got a cool little company.
Yeah, man. Me and real high level personal trainer, like one of those high level personal trainers that has like one client that they are with all the time, like that kind of like the top level
elite
of Hollywood kind of deal. Her and Keith Jardine, so Lacey Mackey, Keith Jardine, and myself, and we met these Colombian brothers that are roasters, man, and we roast some goddamn delicious coffee, and we are big proponents of the nutritious side of health and betterment of the body and of the function of the body, and so we're really into a high fat diet that speaks to that. And so we mix it with MCT oil, butter, cacao, sometimes cinnamon, sometimes coconut milk. But we go through a bunch of different recipes that we do on cavemancoffeeco.com, or you can even find us just at cavemancoffee.com now, I think. Our Twitter and Instagram are at cavemancoffeeco. And you know, you can talk about all that stuff. We got, you know, Rob Wolf and Aubrey Marcus are on our board of directors and kind of direct our thinking and our vision of where we want to go. We've just been open for a few months and we're already international. It's crazy. And we're in a few gyms here and there, which are up on the website through California. And we got some places in Manhattan and one in Massachusetts. But that's you can find out more on that tip there, and you can find me at Tatum Maximus on Instagram and on Twitter.
Right.
And, I don't know what else.
Right on, man, dude. It was a pleasure talking to you, man. I really, really appreciate
You too,
it.
brother.
Yeah, I really.
The one thing I want to end with too, man. I know you got a ton of jiu-jitsu heads, probably most of your audience, right?
Yeah.
Is that the thing that's a heartbreak to me about jiu-jitsu is people trying to own jiu-jitsu, right? It's like, and you get a lot of that. Like, I mean, I remember when Carlinos went to go sue, or it wasn't Carlinos, was it? It was his brother, but they went to sue his cousin Henzo for using the Gracie name. Like ridiculous stuff like that, right? And like,
it's my triangle.
Jiu-jitsu is not to be owned. It's for everybody, and this whole schism that gets created through this brand of jiu-jitsu or that school to this school. It's like, my head coach, Ruben Rivera over at 10th Planet Santa Fe, he's putting together a seminar, and it's a different seminar than ever. It's like a seminar that puts it open to everybody in the jiu-jitsu community that come down, let's share some techniques and have barbecue. We'll buy all the meat, and let's get together and let's try to break down these walls of all this shit of this brand versus that brand and all that kind of stuff. And I'm all for riding for the brand, man. Like, for sure. I'm a Jackson Spider, and I'm a 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu head. But it doesn't mean that I fucking hate you because you're not, or that there's not value in what you're doing because you're not. And go ahead and rep that brand and respect your coach, but recognize the love of the whole family, man. Jiu-Jitsu is bigger than these little schools, man. Jiu-Jitsu is bigger than that.
For sure. And I mean, when you break it down with the different camps and all that stuff, it's just a bunch of monkeys moving their body in different ways. It's like you can't own that. Nobody gets to own that, dude. That's just that's humanity. So, hey,
that's a great point.
Thanks a lot, brother. We really appreciate it, dude.
You guys have a great Sunday, man, and thank you so much for inviting me and having me on. I really had a lot of fun.
Right on. Thanks, Tate.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hey,
late. That was awesome, man.
I talked to Tate at Gracie Nationals.
We haven't had a lot of real motherfuckers come on.
That guy was
Eddie was a real
dude.
motherfucker. Tate's a real motherfucker. Who else has been real? Like, just really fucking real. Because most people are, like you said, are different when you talk to them on the podcast. And a lot of people that come on, they're like, I want you to ask me questions, but I don't want you to say too much.
Yep.
A lot of motherfuckers don't really care what you think.
They won't tell you how they really feel.
They won't tell you how they really feel, and they don't want you to say too much. And he asked you, well, what do you think about that? But very few guys that wanted to know what you fucking thought.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. Tate was a cool dude. And the first time I met him in person was at Gracie Nationals, and I was reffing matches. And Rose Gracie was like, I don't want any of the coaches out, on the mat area or whatever. And Tate had kind of crawled out there. He didn't know. It wasn't like he was doing it to be a jerk.
So you had to be the guy that says, hey, you can't be out here?
So I kind of went over to him like, hey, listen, man,
like, fuck you.
I know you're like twice my size and stuff, but it's kind of my job to ask you not to be here. Totally cool, man. Super great guy. And, it's a breath of fresh air to hear somebody who is just going to be honest about where they're at. They're not sugarcoating stuff. They're not trying to just self-promote. They're not trying to be phony. They're just being real. That was cool.
Yeah, it's really nice to talk to a real motherfucker. Being from Stockton, when you're from Stockton, it makes you a real motherfucker, and it's really nice to talk to other guys who are just real. There's no fakery there, Not to say that other people who are wrong for... Because, people have images they try to uphold, and they're trying to sell shit and market themselves. So I get where some people are coming from.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like, normally we do like a message board recap or something like that, but I just think Tate's part was so good.
Done, dude.
We're done,
dude.
Can't top that.
Tate closed the fucking show.
Tate was awesome. Tate burned the whole house down, dude.
It's like fucking Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah.
Opening for fucking
Chuck Berry.
Yeah. They're fighting about who's gonna go on first, and Jerry's got to go on first, and he sets the whole motherfucking house on fire, and Chuck Berry can't even come out.
Nice. Hey man, thanks for listening, and buy a T-shirt or something, dude.